You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
This is episode 167 of the Healthy Critters Radio on Horse Radio Network. Healthy Critters Radio is brought to you by Biostar US. Find them online at biostarus.com.
On today's show, we focus on why label reading is so important. The critter of the show is the Mille bantam chicken. Critter Nutrition focuses on Biostar's new Hedgerow Pronto supplement. In Coffee Klatch, we ask, what attribute does your horse or dog or cat have that you wished you had? Join us. Hi, I'm Tigger.
And I'm Patty.
And this is Coach Jen. Welcome back to Healthy Critters Radio. We get together twice a month and chit chat about everything healthy and critter. And you can make the definition of those two things just as wide as you like, because it's a free-for-all around here. Yeah. And speaking of free-for-alls, this is the part of the show where we usually catch up on what we've been up to lately. And it's that Devon time of year. So is that what we're catching up on, Patty?
Yes, we are catching up on Devon.
So let's prerequisite that conversation with which Devon, because Devon is the horse show grounds. That's the name of the place. Right. It has lots of horse shows at it, but this is the Devon. What's the name of it officially?
Dressage at Devon.
Dressage at Devon.
Dressage at Devon. So have you been there? Have you been there lots? Have you been riding? Have you been spectating? Have you been eating the amazing food? Tell us.
All of the above.
Yes. All of the above.
Well, so expound.
Okay. Well, so my 33 years ago, 34 years ago, maybe more than that, my mother-in-law bought a box at Devon. And so we, for 33 years or 34 years, it's got to be at least 34, we've been going to the same box. So, and it's a very hard thing to get like these specific good boxes. So I've got a good box. I've had my same box neighbor forever, which is great. Every year I see her, it's been neat because, I get to show her my grandchildren. She's like, oh my gosh, I remember when you were pregnant. It's just kind of a cool thing to go. So it's always, to me, it's like, it always was the thing right before you went to Florida. It's such a great show. And, unfortunately, this year, it like literally we landed in Philly and it rained the entire time. Yeah, but we haven't had any rain here. So we sort of like, I was like, look at that stuff coming out of the sky. But, yeah, it was, it wasn't freezing cold, but it was just enough cold because you always have, one of the good things about, the great rides and stuff at Devon is they have fantastic shopping. So, which I did a lot.
Did you have to have your box? Did you buy so much you had to have it shipped home? Cone of safety.
No, I just wore it. I just wore it. I just wore everything. But Tigger, I don't know how much you were able to watch. I mean, Tigger, of course, always watches the freestyles because Tigger's quite an amazing freestyle designer herself. So, but it was very, she's the only gal I use. But it was very lightly attended, which again, a lot of people, I wondered if it was because of the rain, which can often happen this time of year. But so that was like kind of my first impression, like by attendees watching. I don't know how big the actual show was, but there wasn't a lot of vendors this year. Not sure why, but the ones that were there were awesome. And did Tigger, when you were watching, could you see that there weren't
on the
as
live
many
feed?
people?
Oh yeah. I went. Oh my.
Oh, they
gosh.
streamed it too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But I mean, it's always what the best thing about Devon, and it was an absolute bucket list for me, and I was very fortunate to be able to actually compete at the CDI at Devon, and actually it was the first qualifier for the Olympics the year in 99 and 2000. So when I got to do it, ended up being quite an anger show for me. But it's just competing under those lights, and it's just the most amazing thing. But, and so Friday night, the Grand Prix, for whether you're doing the special or the freestyle, but Saturday night with the freestyles is, how do you even describe it, Tigger? It's kind of, I don't know. It's always going to
generally really electric and exciting and thrilling, and the music just fills up because that arena isn't that big. It's a dressage arena, but it's surrounded by the stands, the grandstand.
And that really holds the sound in.
It holds the sound incredibly.
Yeah. And for those unfamiliar, Devon Horse Show Grounds is right outside the city. It's a very urban area. As a matter of fact, the commuter train tracks are about 20 feet behind the Dixon Oval, which is the main arena.
Well, it's just in the middle of a city block.
It's in the middle of a city block. It's 50 years ago when way long ago, it was in the countryside, but the city Philadelphia has moved out to meet it. So it does carry a unique flavor and character. And unlike most dressage shows in the United States, it is very well attended by spectators, even if the crowds are smaller some years than others. Yeah. Most dressage shows you go to in the United States, except for the maybe half a dozen or show a year, there's no spectators. It's just the competitors there. So it's a completely different atmosphere. And everything there is 150,000 years old. It's practically an archaeological site. So it's really pretty cool. Now, you said it rained a lot. Does your box? And now they have, again, very old school showgrounds. Mm-hmm. So they have boxes. It's not just open grandstands. And those boxes are purchased and they sort of get inherited. They don't come on the market very often. So does your box have a roof over it?
No. But we're, as you come up the stairs, we're M11, and
I know exactly where it is.
Yeah, it's a great spot because you can see most of the angles of where you are. We're on the old side, which had been added on to. I don't even remember how long ago it was now. But we did have to go sit with some friends that were under roof.
Because you're not allowed to have umbrellas at Devon. No umbrellas.
No, I don't think that's a thing.
Really? Because back in the day, there was a big old sign, no umbrellas.
Oh, no, I don't think that's a thing now. I don't know, because every time it rains, I just go up more. No, I think but I think.
I didn't see any umbrellas, actually.
Yeah, I got to think about that, actually.
Inquiring minds need to know. Everybody, if you know whether or not you're allowed to have an umbrella at Devon, please write to Tigger at biostarus.com and let her know.
Yeah, that's just so funny because I'd not really thought of it. Yeah, but one of the things that was pretty spectacular for us is my longtime friend and mentor and coach is Kathy Conley, and she does commentating for the U.S. Dressage Finals. And I had told her that I was like, hey, because we had all these great plans that, I was going to get a couple of clients that were going to qualify and whatever. And we're like, oh, what a great idea. Well, then it was ungodly hot here, and I just didn't show. So, we were all like, yeah, last thing we will feel like doing is putting our horses in a trailer. Except when I did tell everybody it was cold, they regretted it. Anyway, so I said, why don't you come? So she came and sat in the box with us Friday night. It was drizzling. It wasn't pouring rain. And she did commentary. So it was like, we got to hear all of her commentary on all the rides. So that was a lot of fun. And what was really super cool is she literally was like right there with all the scoring. Like it was super cool because, she does all that for the U.S. Dressage Finals, which is really a lot of fun too, but it was just kind of an added treat. So, overall it was a great experience. I will for sure pass this on to my daughter, who is also a trainer. She unfortunately didn't get to go this year, but it's just such a, there's always been, Tigger, don't you remember, there was that time where they were just like, oh, they're not going to do dressage at Devon anymore. And that was kind of a bummer. And a lot of what's cool is a lot of the Canadians will come down and do it.
Yeah.
And remember last year, oh gosh, it was Evie Strasser couldn't get in, so she had to have her daughter ride her horse. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of tradition, a lot of people that have always been there, and it's obviously a lot of the people that have moved down to Florida don't come up to do it. There's no reason to, but the people that are coming from the north, I always feel like kind of come through, and it was just, it's just, I don't know, it's just always a lot of fun. It's it's just such an incredible atmosphere. And what's really fun is, you can either buy parking passes or whatever, but a lot of people let you park on their lawn because there's little houses back there. And this one house that I've parked on their lawn for years and years and years, I got to talking with him, and he's been there 11 years. And I was like, oh, do you remember the people from Fit? I was 15 years ago, whatever. And he's like, oh, that's who we bought the house from. It's just, it's just all this history. So it's always just a lot of fun to go to.
And you know what else is a lot of fun?
What's that?
What?
Reading labels.
Oh.
See, Tigger, that you may think that you were being sarcastic, but I agree.
Yes.
Now, what spurred the topic of reading labels? There's usually some nugget somewhere that said, I need to talk about reading labels.
So a Biostar customer this week called me in a panic because a friend of hers had recommended a supplement to her, and other people at the barn were telling her how great it was, and da 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 da. So she bought it, started feeding it to her horse, and he started not doing so well.
Uh-oh.
I mean, within a day, and sort of ulcery, colicky, but nothing full blown. And so then she read the ingredients, and he had a allergy panel done, and 2 of his main allergens were in the supplement.
There you go. Yeah. Read the label, people.
Well, here's the thing. I think people are conditioned to read the guaranteed analysis.
Yeah.
And that's, on feeds, it's required. And on supplements that are labeled under the feed directives, this is where it gets confusing, guys. They will have a guaranteed analysis. It's required. But for supplements that are structure function, there is no guaranteed analysis. It's just ingredients.
Oh, wow.
I think what happens is we get so locked into looking at protein, fat,
protein, fat, fiber, 3 numbers. That's all that's people want to shorten the whole process of learning about what they're feeding their horse into 3 numbers. Yeah.
And they don't, a lot of times on these feed websites, you have to go somewhere else to get ingredients. So they'll have one tab that's guaranteed analysis. And you look at that, you go, okay, this is what I want. And you don't go to the next tab, which is the ingredients, because it's not that the ingredients are more important, but they're just as important as knowing what the protein, fat, fiber, and NSC is.
Yeah.
And I think we can get so easily swayed by friends, by marketing, that this next supplement just sounds like the greatest thing since sliced bread. And we don't pay attention to the ingredients, because I was on a website last night of a feed company that is selling supplements, and they were so tricky in their ingredient listing. They didn't say what artificial flavors they were using. They just said that they added flavoring and they added stability ingredients. I'm like, what the heck is that?
Yeah, a stabilizing ingredient can be anything. Yeah, that could be any number of things. Yeah. And if you feel strongly that your horses should be consuming certain types of foods and not consuming other types of foods, that's an important thing. Yeah, and some companies don't put it in their literature. It's only on the actual
Correct.
package, because it depends on where it was manufactured. If it's a very, very large company, it could be manufactured in one of many different places, and each individual place is maybe going to have different ingredients. So whenever you do Biostar products, do they have ingredients, guaranteed analysis, or both, and why?
We do both on the website, even though it's not required. You can't, if you're a structure function supplement, you cannot have a guaranteed analysis on your label. That's a big no-no. I wanted to put it on the label because I don't have anything to hide, but no, they came down really hard. So no, you can't do that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you put it on the website because you're allowed to, and you want your consumer to have that
want
information.
people to know. Yes.
But it's not on the package because it's not allowed to be on the package.
Correct. Now, the few products that we have that the American Association of Feed Company Officials has approved as food, and we don't even want to go there because what they think is food and what I think is food is not the same thing.
It's not the same definition. Nope.
Nope. But when we fit into their paradigm, then we can put structure. Then we can put guaranteed analysis on the label.
There you go. Now I warned you ahead of time today, Tigger, that I would be quizzing you about things. I'm feeling very curious. Whenever you set out to develop a product, does whether or not it will fit into the corporate definition of food or supplement, does that play at all?
No. And in fact, the other group, which is called the National Animal Supplement Council, they're the ones that have defined structure function, and they're a very interesting group that we belong to that are kind of navigating the path so that supplement companies stay on the straight and narrow, which I really appreciate. So they've developed the guidelines of what we can say and not make claims and not get the FDA all pissed off.
Yeah, you don't want to make the FDA angry.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
But Biostar definitely pushes the limit because we are what and the NASC considers a hybrid. We're food and we're structure function. And AFCO, the American Association of Feed Company Officials, does not consider food medicinal or structure function related. It's just food.
It's just food. It's
so we
just
walk
McDonald's, Tigger.
Yes,
it's just McDonald's.
Yeah.
So we walk this. We created a path. We're blazing a path actually because it didn't exist before Biostar started. Of walking in two different worlds with food and structure function. And that's why I get so. I'm just personally in my own life, I'm a label reader. When I go to the grocery store, I read the labels, and I have a personal philosophy. If I cannot pronounce the ingredient, that's it. That's it. Or I'll go do a Google search on my phone. But, you should be able to tell a food and a plant from a chemical. And I just want less chemicals and more food and plant.
Yeah.
That sounds like a very reasonable point of view. Give me an example of a product that Biostar offers that does show its ingredients that someone might say, oh, I feed something that's supposed to address that problem that does not have good ingredients in it. We don't need to use everybody else's names, but let's pick an easy one. Everybody in the universe has a supplement. I'm going to use my air quotes, a joint supplement. Everybody's got one, but not everybody reads the tiny fine print, and not everybody understands what the ingredients actually mean. Because if you read the name of something and you don't know what its proposed reason for being benefit is, why bother reading it? Maybe that's why some people don't bother to read it. We'll just use a joint supplement, for an example, a Biostar joint supplement, pick one. When I read the ingredients, what might I not find that you would very likely find in someone's who is using a lot of extra stuff or chemicalized or processed?
Glucosamine sulfate.
You're not going to find glucosamine sulfate. Why not?
Or glucosamine hydrochloride. We don't use glucosamine. This is silence. Why?
Well, and I'm curious, why not? Why not?
Yeah,
right? Why not? It's a common ingredient.
Yeah. Glucosamine sulfite is mainly from the ectoskeletons of shellfish. Glucosamine hydrochloride is completely chemically created.
Didn't know
the
that.
body makes its own glucosamine sulfate. That's how it was discovered.
Uh-huh. So you don't need to feed it to them because they make it for themselves. Is that kind of how it works?
Correct.
Well, there you go. See,
That's
an ingredient
the body
that when
makes
you
it.
understand what it is, you understand why it should or shouldn't be there.
It's not an ingredient I would use, that's for sure. And where I focus on in joint support is less about glucosamine and more about circulation.
Oh.
So I go for a product we make that increases circulation. It drives the production of nitric oxide, which is the master circulatory molecule of the body. And when you have all this vasodilation going on, that allows the body to deliver nutrients to the joints and the feet and all the areas in the body that need support.
Interesting.
That's healing. That's how the body heals.
So you're addressing the entire body versus trying to.
Correct.
Oh, I'm only going to add extra
One
for the
part.
joints because the rest of my horse is fine. I see.
Right.
There you go. See, interesting, cool stuff. Now,
Yeah.
speaking of trying to address something specific, I think it's time that we call Hedwig. And boy, is it tricky to address anything specific with Hedwig, the world's only podcasting
Fucking Pomeranian. Yes.
Yep.
Hello.
Hello,
Hey.
Hedwig.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hello. How's the world's only podcasting Pomeranian this evening?
Something, you know.
You're thriving? Well, I'm glad to hear that because a little bird told me that your human servant, went to Devon without you. And we wanted to find out how that went for you. How was your week?
Well, you know, I had my other staff person. So really it went well for me, especially when it started raining torrentially.
Why was it even better when it was raining torrentially?
Well, because I could be inside and the human servant was drowning.
Oh, so the fact that your human servant, your first human servant, was perhaps miserable at Devon in the rain, and you were not.
Exactly.
I see. So now, whenever it rains torrentially at your Pomeranian palace, is it difficult to get the Pomeranian clan to go out and take care of business, or are you happy to do that in the rain?
No, we go outside just very quickly, efficiently. Mm-hmm.
Oh, efficient.
Just go right out, come back in. Mm-hmm.
There you go. I see. And when your human came back from Devon, did you...
Like a drowned rat.
Like a drowned rat. Did you let your human know in no uncertain terms that you were not pleased that you were left alone?
Oh, no. We said that we understood that she had to go and publicly fail. And that we understood that it was nice of her to go and do that without us. Because, you know, why should we be part of that nonsense?
And was your human servant utterly deflated and depressed when she came back?
No, she was just more, have you ever seen, for example, someone who has spent several months living solely on adrenaline, anxiety, rage, and exhaustion?
Yeah, I see that in the mirror occasionally, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what happens is she turns feral. and she sort of jumps at noises, and you have to give her space, allow her to decompress. She can really only speak quickly, and she can only talk about stupid things for a while, but then she gets better. She's able, if she just spends a little time with us reading the New York Times, her anxiety level oddly goes down even though the world is ending.
Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. I'm glad. Hey, I'm okay with denial. I'm fine with that.
And, I think the important thing to remember here is if you're going to be essentially bad at things and publicly fail anyway, you should probably just remember you brought this on yourself.
That's a good point. Well, thank you very much.
Always a compassionate response from Hetty.
Yes, always.
It's compassionate. One must take responsibility for one's inadequacies.
Oh, gosh.
If you're going to publicly fail and then come home and be all whiny about it, you brought this on yourself. Don't bring your nonsense into my home. This is my home. You do you. I'll be over here laughing at you until you understand you brought this on yourself.
And for all our listeners, may I just point out, this is reason number 973 why I don't have a Pomeranian.
You brought this on yourself.
There you go. Well, thank you very much,
Hetty,
for your insight. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
So we are at the critter of the show portion of our program. And I, of course, if you're all have been listening in to us for a while, I've recently gotten into backyard chickens. And one of my original sets of chickens that I got was and I'm going to kill the name, but I'm going to do the best I can. It's a Mille duckle. It's a bantam. It's quite a beautiful chicken. I thought it was interesting, Tigger, that you'd never heard of it, because I feel like you've heard of everything. But
this was a new one.
So Tigger said to me, "So what does the name mean?" So this is really interesting. So Mille means 1,000, and fleur means flower in French. So it literally translates to 1,000,000 flowers from uckle, which I don't know what that means, but the breed originates from Belgium. But it's interesting, if you look up the meaning of Mille fleur, you will come across a bunch of kind of cool things. But one is that it refers to a background style of many different small flowers and plants, and they use it, I guess, in art or whatever. And it's kind of, if you look at the bird versus this, you can see why they kind of came up with the name, because they're very very beautiful chickens. They are, I was telling Tigger that they're just, when I was reading about them and learning about them, like, it's such a great description of what this little thing is. So she's, mine's named Tina Linnell, after a friend of mine. It's kind of a joke name, and she's just a very small, athletic, kind of opinionated little thing. And this is kind of what she's like. Completely captivating. They have tons of personality. They're very curious by nature and chatty. Not like overly loud, but they're just very talkative. However, the rooster can have a little bit higher pitch than a normal rooster, so that's something to keep in mind. But what they lack in size, because they're not very big, they certainly make up in personality. They're wonderful, interactive little birds. They actually make a nice little lap chicken. They are definitely suitable for kids. They are very inquisitive and love to check out like new things. I go in my little coop, and she'll come over and sit on my lap. And initially, she was a little bit cautious when she was younger, and now she's just she's kind of one of the first ones that greet me. In fact, I have a door that goes to the outdoor of their pen, and it's got to be, I don't know how tall doors are, 7 feet, 8 feet, and she's tiny, and she flies up there every day. And when I go to put all the chickens to bed, she's at the top of the thing looking down at all the other chickens. But they'll fly on your shoulder, they'll get on your lap. They're just really quite cute. they are very good flyers. So if you decide this is the one that you want to consider, you definitely, if you want to keep them in a run, you would have to cover the run because they can absolutely fly out of it. They're very athletic. So they're very great, perfect chicken for beginners. They actually can even be an indoor chicken, which I thought was funny. They're decent layers. There were some things that said they're not, that they aren't the best layers, but others that say they were like 4 to 5 eggs a week, which I consider to be quite good. It's a smaller egg. It's like a white cream, which is kind of pretty. They're very good for like baking. The lifespan is about 8 years. Roosters weigh about 1.6 pounds, and the hens come close behind with about 1.4. They come in a ton of different colors, including like black and golden mottled, which is I think what I must have. And they just have the most adorable, fluffy feet, and their faces are framed by like muffs and a beard. And when they walk, their foot feathers sort of throw their feet out. They look like they're waddling like a duck. Yeah, they're just. But I think what I noticed about mine, because they're just about 4 months old now. All of a sudden, before she was always a little bit more skittish, but now she just comes and she greets me and she cocks her head from like to the side, and she's just incredibly personable. So Tigger, this is one I would recommend hands down if you ever wanted to just get a fun one. And they're I got mine as hatching chicks, and I think she was $3, which is not very expensive, but
no.
They're just they you know what, they remind me of the French bulldogs of the chicken world, because they're just comical and they're cute, and they just are entertaining, and they're kind of like vocal and adorable. So I would highly recommend it. Highly recommend it.
So here we are at Critter Nutrition, and today I'm going to talk about Biostar's new Hedgerow Pronto. In May of 2022, I attended a CDI and open dressage show in Virginia. And while I was back in the barns, 2 riders talked to me about how stressed their horses were and how they weren't eating well. One horse had very loose stools. The other horse was quite gassy. I had some Zen Max with me, so I gave each rider some tubes to at least address the stress component. And I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great to have something to help address these acute and short-term GI tract issues? I met up with sponsored rider Jim Coford at the show, and we went back to his barn to see his horses. Jim is a huge proponent of Biostar's Hedgerow GI. He said his horses were eating well at the show, which he attributed in part to the GI tract support of Hedgerow. Stress on the microbiome. Animals, humans, and their gut bacteria have evolved to communicate and regulate one another. Psychological or physical stress can reshape the gut bacteria's composition, allowing more metabolites, toxins, and neurohormones to be released. Stress hormones such as cortisol and increased inflammation can disrupt the balance of bacteria in the gut. This imbalance affects appetite, behavior, performance, and mood. The brain-gut axis. We know the brain and the gut have ongoing communications with one another. An imbalance in the gut affects neurotransmitters, some of whom, like serotonin, are actually produced in the GI tract. A microbial imbalance will disrupt serotonin production. Likewise, mental worry or anxiety can affect the gut microbiota, setting off an imbalance in the GI tract of the gut microbes. Dysbiosis, imbalance in the gut microbial community. Studies in the last decade show that diet, stress, mood substantially influence which strains of gut microbes thrive. Low diversity of gut microbes is a part of this dysbiosis, as well as higher numbers of non-beneficial bacteria crowding out the beneficial microbes. Dysbiosis can affect the immune system and increase the risk for infection or autoimmune disease. Healthy gut, healthy horse. Maintaining a healthy GI tract is paramount to sustaining health in horses. When there is stress and gut dysbiosis, excess gas, diarrhea, loose stools, watery manure, probiotics may not be enough to recalibrate diversity. This is because the toxins are already flooding the intestinal barrier and mucosa. We need to bind the toxins and then provide active beneficial probiotic cultures to restore the microbial balance. Clay and charcoal are known as adsorbents. They gather toxins to their surfaces and bind them there. Clay and charcoal are not absorbent, meaning they don't work like a sponge. Biostar uses bentonite and kaolin clays in several different formulas. Clay is a good detoxifier for long-term use, particularly for heavy metals such as arsenic, lead, cadmium. Activated charcoal is a broad spectrum binder that is best for short-term use or a quick detoxification because it does bind minerals. I consider activated charcoal the first aid of toxin binders. If I bring my horse in from a day grazing on lush pasture and I notice a very full belly, I will go with charcoal, not clay. If I bring my horse to a show and the horse goes off its feed, has excess gas, or the manure has changed, I will go with charcoal, not clay. Hedgerow Pronto is a dual-acting supplement that is a two-step formula. Step 1 provides hedgerow mash consisting of speedy beet with activated charcoal. Includes fennel seeds and rose hips for digestion, pumpkin for prebiotic support, sea salt for hydration, and fermented turmeric to maintain a healthy inflammatory process. This mash should be fed separately from grains and can be fed with hay. Step 2. Hedgerow paste is a fast-acting oral paste providing the Ayurvedic body system balancer triphala with a spore probiotic, Bacillus subtilis, 4 other active probiotic strains, and MOS for the hindgut. Includes fennel and peppermint for digestion, reed, sedge, peat to support the tight junctions in the gut, pectin for gastric protection, and sea salt for hydration. Give the paste 1 or more hours after hedgerow mash for best results. Hedgerow Pronto is packaged conveniently so that you can keep it in your tack trunk or feed room for those times you need a fast-acting GI support supplement. Ta-da!
Ta-da! So this of course creates questions in my little brain.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So what made you try a two-pronged approach like this? How did you say, we need to have 2 separate steps to this whole thing? Because I've never heard of any other product that was designed to be used in a 2-step process.
Well, because I think when you're going to detoxify, that needs to be step 1. And trying to then add probiotics during the detoxification, it doesn't seem to me like a good idea. In other words, I want to focus the mash on binding the toxins and getting them moved out, then resupporting the GI tract with active probiotics.
So you're gonna clean the bit with a little bit of soap and water before you polish it.
Correct.
There you go.
Or more importantly, I'm gonna scrape off the green slime on the bit before I even wash it.
Aha, there we go. So give me a couple of examples of when it would be appropriate to use the 2-prong process versus just use hedgerow. Give me different scenarios there.
Well, okay. First of all, the powder is going to take longer. It's got to go through the horse's GI tract, right?
Mm-hmm.
The paste is quicker.
Mm-hmm.
So paste delivery is for really quick results.
You're at a horse show. Your horse is a little off. Okay.
Yeah. Or, you're at home, your horse has been grazing all day, comes back in and he is really gassy or has that bloated. And you kind of want to address it.
Yeah. A scenario that might come up in my little world is a new horse comes into the barn. We'll set Nigel off a little bit. He might go off his feed and be worrisome and get diarrhea a little bit when there's a new horse in the barn. So yeah, that makes sense.
It's perfect. And the reason that I made the mash separate, you don't add it to the feed. It's really important because it does.
Say that again.
Charcoal.
Say that again.
You don't add the mash to your feed.
Okay.
It's a separate meal. It's only 12 ounces. I mean, it's a couple of bites and they're done. But because charcoal is such a strong adsorber, you don't want it absorbing other minerals that are in your feed.
So you don't want to be putting your high quality ingredient food in there because it's going to absorb. It's going to bind to some of that as well.
Yeah.
Well, that makes perfect sense. So are there circumstances under which you would use the Pronto 2-part product more than once? Or is it one of those things that you're going to use it once and then, like, you're at a horse show, your horse typically is a little bit nervous. He walks his saw a little bit. He doesn't eat very well. He gets diarrhea all the time. Is this product designed that I could use it every day? Or
Absolutely.
Is it yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
It's not something designed to be, use it every day for 30 days.
Got it.
Then you would probably want to go with clay. But we're talking about something that is acute,
and short-lived. Okay.
And short-lived.
Okay,
and
so go ahead.
Yeah. One of the beta test horses was in California, young horse. And he was shipped from East to California to be in training with Sabine. And, he got there and went, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I sent the owner 2 Hedgerow Prontos that were still in beta test. And she gave the first one. And by that evening, the diarrhea was gone. And then she gave it to him the next day just because she wanted to make sure. And yeah, he was completely fine.
Isn't that interesting? Now, there's one more thing. Before we get on to our rather interesting coffee class. Repeat again the difference between why you would use clay versus charcoal, because I think that's a serious light bulb moment right there.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah.
So charcoal is for immediate. Works very fast. Charcoal is the most used toxin binder in the world for poisons.
And we talked
in
about
hospitals and vets. Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about activated charcoal.
Yes.
The last episode
in September.
This is not briquette charcoal from TSC store. No, it is activated charcoal. Go read on biostarus.com.
Yeah. We have a whole blog on it.
Whole blog on that. And then the clay, this is not the clay that you get in craft class, is for.
No. So bentonite, kaolin, those are the pretty common clays used for animals. That's a long-term use.
Got it.
Or, for a poultice because it's adsorbent, but it's not the quick, oh gosh, I really want to address this.
Got it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So now we've arrived at Coffee Klatch, and the question of the day is, what attribute or attributes does your horse or dog or cat have that you wished you had?
You go first, Tigger.
Okay, well, the first attribute I wish I had was a paw or 2 paws. I would like retractable hands that then become paws.
Oh, that's good.
There's a Marvel character with that. Which one has the claws that come out?
I'm not a Marvel.
Isn't that Wolverine?
Person.
Wolverine.
Yeah, Wolverine. I was like,
yeah, I want that.
Funny.
I want to have paws.
Okay, fair enough.
Patty?
Well, okay, I might have taken this a little bit differently, maybe not. The first one I thought of was my Australian Shepherd Klatch, and he has such amazing speed and agility. And I was thinking of him today. I was trail riding a horse, and he was off hunting, looking for deer poop, I'm sure. And I called him, and it was like I don't know that I've ever seen anything turn around so fast, like leap over things in a single bound and come running and sliding to a halt right next to the horse, to the point where I was like, whoa, you're going to get, and just like, I'm like, that little bit of joy that I just got to watch happened in like 3 seconds or less. I'm like, that's fast.
Yeah,
So
that is fast.
That's what very fast.
So you would like speed and agility.
And agility, his speed and agility. Yeah. Yeah. And I think I want paws. Now I want paws. I'd like that. And I'd like to have retractable paws, just like Tigger.
Yes, absolutely. We'll start a new thing.
Okay.
It's going to be all the rage. It'll be all the rage next Halloween.
Yeah.
I was thinking that. No, not Halloween. I think it'll be the rage in the Florida circuit in 2020.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. Great. Yeah. They're going to be like, there they go.
You finish riding and your paws come out.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I didn't think of it from a physical point of view, because now I have 2 instead of 1.
Well, I have 2 too. So
okay. Well, the first one is the first one I thought of is I wish I had Nigel's stamina. He never freaking gets tired.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Causes me a lot of grief personally, but I wish I had some of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
True.
That horse is
That's
never
a good one.
freaking tired. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's
one.
Mr. Chill most of the time. 79% of the time.
He's
very
conserving his energy.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's the key.
Maybe that is. You have to be chill more, Jen.
I have to be chill. I like that, Tigger. Excellent observation. I will take it to heart.
Okay.
Oh, that's funny.
The other attribute I really admire in my dogs is their forgiveness.
Oh. Doggies are much better at forgiving than people are, aren't they?
Oh, so much better. And they don't hang on to
crap
stuff.
They don't keep the luggage around. Nope.
No.
And
that's a good one.
I think that is that's mastery.
Yeah. That's a good one.
What's your next one, Patty?
Okay. I have actually 2, so I'm just going to combine them. So my horse Hal and Burke, my
Burke
other
the dog.
Aussie,
Yeah.
Burke the dog. Absolutely and truly, they just possess joy during the weirdest situation. Like, they're just always very joyful. Like, Hal is a version of Burke in horse form, and vice versa. Like, you know anything about Australian Shepherds? I'm sitting here impersonating them, wiggling their butt, and he smiles and he sneezes a lot, and they get in the shape of a U, kind of, or J. I don't. They just do side, yeah. And I feel like Hal does the same thing. Like, they just have complete and utter joy, and just in situations where, most people would be stressed about something or whatever, and they just have complete and utter joy. So I'd love to have that.
Aw, I like that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, Tigger's first one made me think of the second one. Nigel's a chestnut, and I'm jealous of his gorgeous red locks. He has the fullest, fluffiest, most beautiful red mane and tail. And they're not just red. They're hugely fluffy and long. I have to cut his tail twice a year and at least 6 inches.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That sounds like a good dressage horse right there.
It does.
See? Has to have a nice tail.
Absolutely.
And I'm jealous of his beautiful red locks. Yeah, I'll admit it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I love chestnuts. Don't blame you.
Well, my third and final is my youngest tribe member, Keen, has now managed to be able to go from standing to in the air now at 7.5 feet.
Oh, wow.
It's
Now, to explain to everybody who Keen is, because
Keen is an Australian Shepherd.
Yeah.
Who is really a pogo stick.
Oh my gosh.
And when he is really excited, he will, from a standstill, launch himself straight up in the air. And the other day, the fence is 4 feet, and he was 3 feet above that.
Air Keen.
Wow.
Unbelievable. And then he's up there, and then you think, okay, everybody get out of the way because he has no control.
Who knows where he's coming
on
down?
The landing. Yeah, that kind of
funny.
athleticism. And again, it's the joy, like, whoopee, I can't contain myself, so I'm going up.
Oh, that's
I love
cute.
that. I wish we humans could express our joys more openly than I think we do.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I mean, I think we become a culture that sort of finger points if somebody does something that's sort of weird. But man, I would love to be able to like jump up in the air and go, woohoo!
Yeah, especially that high.
I'd be happy with 6 inches, actually.
Yeah, it's the landing that's going to get me. I'm telling you,
Yes,
I'm happy to jump
exactly,
6 inches in the air, but that landing, it's going to be ugly. Well, if
Funny.
you have an attribute in one of your loved creatures that you would admire or love to have, tell us about it on the Biostar Facebook page. What's the Biostar Facebook page called, Tigger?
Biostar US on Facebook.
There you go.
Yeah, Biostar, yes. Facebook.
Well, this has been a great fun, ladies. And as I said at the beginning of the show, we get together twice a month and do this. I think maybe for 2023, we're going to cut it back a little bit to once a month, and we are going to expand the things that we do on the show just a little bit. So stay tuned for fun new things in 2023, ladies and gentlemen. But in the meanwhile, we'll get together again in about 2 weeks, huh?
Yes, we will.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks to our sponsor, Biostar US. You can find them online at biostarus.com.
Get the Horse Radio Network phone app on iOS or Android by searching for Horse Radio Network in the App Store. It's free and easy to use.
For details about today's show, go to healthycrittersradio.com, where you can find links, photos, and more information about our guests.
As always, we love your feedback. Please follow us on Facebook under Healthy Critters Radio.
Be sure to visit all the great shows on Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
Love your dog.
Hug your horse.
Feed your chickens.
Clean your litter box.
Dance with your goat.
Slither with your snakes.
Howl at the moon.
Hang with your hamster.
Party with your parrot.
Waddle with your walrus.
Outwit your otter.
Cuddle your cows.
Rap with your raptor.
Go chipping with your chipmunks.
Forgive your fox.
While hedging with your hog.
We also recommend that you rack with your raccoon.
Gyrate with your giraffe.
Meditate with a meerkat.
Uber with your orangutan.
Facebook with your flamingo.
Ponder with your panda.
Walk with your Wookiee.
Yawn with your yak.
Twitter with your toucan.
Go raining with your reindeer.
Dropbox your dragon.